And the name of this project, BILT, is derived from an acronym where B equals bridging, I is innovation, L is learning, and T, of course, is TVET. The core focus of BILT has been to analyse how new competencies are firstly identified, for example, through the different mechanisms that analyse labour market trends, how new competencies are integrated into our education and training systems, for example, how training curricula are aligned with occupational standards, and last but not least, how new competencies are implemented into our teaching and learning processes, for example, using new technology in training and giving our teachers and trainers the skills. This innovation and learning practice is right on point. It addresses how a regional ASEAN-defined set of competencies have been integrated into national standards in Thailand. A short description of this practice has been published online today on the UNESCO-UNEVOC website, and a link will be put in the chat at the end of our Learning Lab. The purpose of this Learning Lab is to both inspire and to start conversations. It should inspire ideas on why to align competencies at regional and national levels, and it should start conversations as to how to do it. At today's Learning Lab, you will hear an example on what was done, why, and how, which stakeholders were involved, and what were the outcomes, both expected and unintended. UNESCO-UNEVOC, through the BILT project, will soon have over 40 innovation and learning practices online from Europe, Africa, and the Asia Pacific. Some are micro level, including examples from specific companies. Others, like this one, are regional or country level innovations. This reflects the nature of innovations which can be scaled up and those that can be adapted and transferred from one context to another. So without further ado, I pass you over to my colleague Vera Hark from BIBB, who will introduce the speakers. Once again, a warm welcome to you all, and over to you, Vera.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and welcome everyone to the first BILT Learning Lab. My name is Vera Hark, and I am the project manager for BILT at the German Federal Institute for VET, or BIBB in short. The series of learning labs is our newest BILT activity, and the idea for this online seminar was born during our first events. We all know that it's crucial to learn about examples of successful TVET practice from others, but due to tight conference schedules, you often don't have the time to explore an example really in depth, understand its details, and ask all the questions you might have. So we decided to start the BILT Learning Labs, where one innovative TVET example is presented at a time. With BILT, as Sarah had already mentioned, we are continuously collecting innovative TVET practice examples. We call them innovation and learning practices. If you visit our website, you will find 25 European innovation and learning practices in the fields of new qualifications and competencies, digitalization, greening, entrepreneurship, and migration. In the upcoming weeks, we will publish 8 further practices from Asia Pacific and Africa each. One of these examples is TPQI's adoption and integration of the ASEAN in company trainer standard. So we decided to make a pre-release of this innovation and learning practice as it will be presented during today's event. My colleague Barbara will now post a link to the practice in the chat. You will learn about the publication of the remaining Asian and African innovation and learning practices via social media in the next weeks. Now, before I hand over to the colleagues from TPQI and Record TVET, as well as private sector representative who will present the example, let me quickly share a few housekeeping rules with you. Adrish, if you could switch to the next slide, please. Thank you. Firstly, translation into French is available. Please click on the globe below on your screen if you want to listen to it. I would also like to make you aware that today's session will be recorded and that recordings will be available via the BILT website after this event. Today's session will be split into two parts. Firstly, a presentation of the in-company trainer standards, and secondly, time for questions and answers. The questions you have submitted when registering to this event have already been handed to our speakers, so they will be able to respond to them during their presentation. During the Q&A time, you can ask any other question by using the hand raised function. Our Q&A moderator, Barbara, will then ask you to unmute yourself and speak. However, when not speaking, please keep your microphone switched off to avoid any background noise. In case of weak internet connection, you can of course ask your question with your camera turned off. And of course, you can also post your questions in the chat and Barbara will collect them, but we will give priority to raised hands. Now, without any further delay, let us turn to the actual stars of today's event. It's my pleasure to say that 3 speakers were able to make themselves available for our session. Firstly, I would like to welcome Ms. Julada Meju. She has worked for the Thailand Professional Qualification Institute, or TPQI for short, since 2013 and is now the Deputy Director General. Ms. Meju has been deeply implied in strengthening collaboration with domestic and international partners and has worked with industry to develop relevant and responsive occupational standards. Secondly, a warm welcome to Ms. Siripon Pavikam. Ms. Pavikam is Program Component Manager at the Regional Cooperation Program for TVET in ASEAN, the DIZ Record TVET program. Among other tasks, she is responsible for overall project and intervention design, capacity needs assessment, implementation of standards at regional and national level, as well as standard adoption in the ASEAN countries. And thirdly, it is our pleasure to also have a representative from private sector with us. I would like to welcome Mr. Chulawit Sukkudom, Director of the Group of Knowledge Management and Talent Development at Boonrod Brewery in Thailand. Mr. Sukkudom has been a key figure in human resources development efforts, such as vocational training and education, mentorship and coaching, to cultivate a highly engaged and skilled workforce in Thailand. Welcome to our speakers. Before we start with the actual presentation, our colleague Min from Record TVET will facilitate a Mentimeter poll to get everyone warmed up and introduce our participants. So over to you, Mint. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vera. And hello, everybody. I'm going to share the screen now for the Mentimeter session. Yes, so before we hear interesting presentations from our speakers today, since we have a lot of participants joining us, more than 100 people, we would like to spend a few moments to get to know our participants a bit better. And to do that, we are using Mentimeter. Many of you are already familiar with Mentimeter. If you are not, it is an online tool that allows people to interact in online sessions. I've already dropped a Mentimeter link in the chat box so that you can already click. And if you want to use your mobile phone instead, you can also scan the QR code that is currently shown on the screen that I'm sharing right now. Yes. So let's take a few moments to it for people to access the link. So yeah, so I can see that people already start submitting their answers for the first questions. There are a total of 3 questions, and the first question is, which country are you from? We can already see that there are a lot from Germany, from Thailand, from the Philippines, actually from all regions around the world, from Pakistan, Hong Kong, Australia, Switzerland, from Egypt. Yeah, basically all geographical regions. So great that we have everyone from around the world today that are interested in company training topic today. So let's move to the next question already. The next question is, what is your function and expertise in the vocational education and in company training? So we have 8 choices: policymaker, curriculum and standard development agency, vocational teacher or institute, trainer or training institute, research institute, university or think tank, as well as international organizations and companies. So currently, we have people submitting answers. Oh, okay, now they're coming. So far, we see a lot of numbers from international organizations, policymakers, vocational teacher and institutes. Let's wait for a few more seconds for people to submit their answers. Yes, so we could see that we have a wide range of participants from the key stakeholders who are interested in the topic of in-company training, the regional standard in ASEAN and the alignment with the national standard, as well as how it is implemented in industries. Let's move to the third question. So the last question is, in your opinion, how important is the in-company training for you? Yes, the 2 top answers are very important and increasingly important. Yeah, so the majority see that the in-company training is very important. We have 48 answers for very important. So I think that attending in this session, in this BILT learning lab today, we see that people see that in-company training is extremely important in today's world. Okay, let's not waste our time. And yeah, thank you everyone so much for participation in your in this short but interesting interactions with Mentimeter. So next, I would like to welcome our first speaker, Siriporn Pawikam, who is the program manager, who is the program component manager for the Regional Cooperation Program for TVET in ASEAN from GSET Record TVET, who will talk about the standard for in-company trainer in ASEAN.
Thank you so much, Mint. Can you stop sharing your screen? And then Kuntan Yamat can share the presentation for me. And thank you also the organizer for inviting me to this event and also to share the experiences of the German Development Corporation in the field of TVET and also in the field of human resource development in private sector. My name is Siriporn Pawikam and I am the component manager of Regional Cooperation program for Tibet in ASEAN, or Record Tibet, and I work in the field of Tibet for over 10 years. Next slide, please. So for today, the outline of my sharing will be divided into 3 parts. The first one will be about Record Tibet program for profile. And the second one is about the introduction of standard development and its achievements and implementation of the standard. And the third one will be about mapping of existing in-company trainer standards in Thailand. Before this session, as Vera has mentioned, that we have received questions from participants about the in-company training. And also we have integrated our answers along the presentation. And as the agenda of this question is quite tight, so I will keep my presentation quite precise and also simple. So about Record Tibet profile, Record Tibet provides support to Tibet reforms in all 10 ASEAN member states, but with the focus on Cambodia, Myanmar, and Vietnam. So the program is commissioned by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, or BMZ, and the program was first launched in 2014. The current project phase commenced in July 2020 and will end in June 2023. Record Tibet has a small international team of 13 staff with its main office in Hanoi, Vietnam, and also the second office in Bangkok, Thailand, where I am now located. Next slide, please. So I would like to give you a little bit overview of Germany's contribution in Tibet. Tibet is the priority area of the German Development Cooperation. And as many of you know that Germany has a very strong Tibet system and also the dual training, which heavily relies on a strong cooperation of public and private sector. And Germany is actually the world's biggest bilateral donor in Tibet sector. The Tibet here in the ASEAN region is actually asked German development for support. And also Tibet has actually more and more become a priority area in the region and also for the German Development Cooperation. So the support of Germany is actually also visible in ASEAN country, and the German government supports Tibet reform, as I have mentioned, in 6 ASEAN countries right now, namely in Laos, PDR, Myanmar, Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, and actually in Myanmar. Next slide, please. So the second one is about to introduce the development of ASEAN in-company standard and also its implementation. Next slide, please. Before we started our development cooperation, we had conducted the situation analysis in ASEAN countries. We found out several challenges in skilled labor demand. For example, graduates are lacking work experience and do not match the demand of industry. The structural cooperation between education and private sector in Tibet is not well functioned. Interest from private sector investing in the training system according to their needs is still low. The vocational education system is often a school-based system. The education system in the region focuses on academic system or higher education. And the last point is the needs of skilled workers are increased due to the industrial development and economic growth. Next slide, please. So as you can see, our program actually has applied the dual system approach in Germany, or the apprenticeship system. The dual system in Germany have 2 main learning centers, in company 70% and in vocational 30%. So as we all know that the German government has regulated laws, framework, curriculum, and also training regulation for both sides, in company training and also educational school. The Chamber of Commerce play a crucial role in this system, and effective in-company trainers are needed to make the in-company training function and also successful. Next slide, please. approaches of setting up the standard, there are also several questions about how we set up the standard. The standard was set up and facilitated by GIZ with the funding support from the German Ministry, BMZ. We have invited experts from Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training, or BIBB, and also from Cultural Institute of Technology, and also other GIZ experts in ASEAN countries to give inputs on the standard development. The standard was set up in the participatory approach and commitment from 60 experts in ASEAN region for standard promotion and also implementation. Participants from public and also private sectors from 6 countries came together and developed together, such as experts from Cambodia, Laos, PDR, Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam, and also the Philippines. As we are the regional program, we have trained the regional master trainer training. So the master trainers who sent by the training institution to receive the training at regional level, and we have coordinated with responsible Tibet organization in the countries, and we also conducted the master trainer training, several courses with HRD Korea. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, thank you so much. The concept. So we stayed with the concept of the in-company training and function of the in-company trainer, please. So we have clarified in the workshop the concept of in-company training and the function of in-company trainer, which is actually a crucial starting point. We need to know who they are and what they should be capable of, and how in-company training can contribute to the skilled workforce in the region. So in-company trainers refer to all trainers, workers, or any other personnel whose work involved in training, teaching, and also mentoring other personnel. So the in-company training actually covers all training conducted in the company, such as retraining of existing staff, training for new employees, on-the-job training, and training of apprentices or interns. The in-company training can be integrated as part of human capacity development, which we can also see the example of Unrop Brewery in the later stage about their human capacity development, and also the linkage of the company policy with the training. So in the same way as Germany, the in-company training could be integrated into the Tibet system and add on the practical part into the school-based education. The private sector intervention in skill development through in-company training can strongly support the increased number of skilled workforce in the region. Next slide, please. So in these slides, you can see that the standard has described 4 main areas of action of in-company trainer, and they were arranged in 4 modules. The first one is analyzing work tasks and defining learning requirements, planning and preparing training, conducting training, and evaluation for further development of the training. Each module contains 3 to 5 competencies. The modules and competencies are related to each other and follow a logical order. The duration of in-company training is agreed at 80 hours. So Min will post also the link of the standard for in-company training in the chat, so you can have a look at the link for further detail. Next slide, please. The implementation so far of the standard at regional and national level. The standard was developed by 6 ASEAN countries, as I have mentioned, since 2014. So along the line, we can see also the development that it is already endorsed by ASEAN Secretariat as a guideline for competence development for in-company trainers. The standards has been benchmarked as national standard and training regulations in Thailand and also in the Philippines by TESTA and also Philippine Chamber of Commerce as our key partner or stakeholder in standard development. So far, 200 master trainers have been trained based on the regional standard. It is available in 6 languages, And the master trainer trainings are active so far in Indonesia and also in the Philippines. Next slides, please. So this will be my last presentation on the standard development. So you can see here the implementing of standard in company trainer in ASEAN countries. So we have the case study in Thailand, and Kunjulada TPQI will talk about it in further details. And we also have one good example from the Philippines, actually, that they have issued it as the training regulation in the Philippines. So Min will post again the link into the chat and you can have a look at that. So I will end my presentation so far and would like to hand over it to Ms. Julada from TPQI to talk more about the national implementation in Thailand, please.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Siriporn. Good afternoon from Bangkok, everyone. Thank you, BILT, to make it happen today. So let me share with you as government agency my presentation. Okay, I would start. Let me give you a short background of Thailand Professional Qualification Institute, or TPQI. We are a government agency chartered to work with industries to develop demand-driven occupational standard. TPQI adopt and adapt relevant international standards to respond to technological changes and benchmark against best practices, as well as assess competencies of workforce and learners against the standard and award them professional qualifications for greater career opportunities and lifelong learning. So the ASEAN in-company trainer standard is one of the international standards we adopted, adapted, and integrated into the Thai qualifications system. In the standard adaptation and development process, TPQI brought together local stakeholders to review the ASEAN in-company trainer standard and draft actually related competencies that reflected specific demands of Thailand's industrial sector, while tracking with similar efforts in other ASEAN member states. So from this picture, you can see the whole system of professional qualification. So we worked with employers, professionals in the field, training providers, regulators, and experts to adapt and continue to develop the ASEAN in-company trainer standard. So the ASEAN standard is flexible and adaptable to the different economic and educational system to ensure acceptance of the industry. TPQI continued to develop it for the national context so that the standard could be used effectively for assessment and workplace training, university training, and even online learning or online training. So those who acquired skills by training and by work experiences could apply for competency assessment and demonstrate their skills through technical interview and portfolio checking. If they are competent, they will be awarded with professional qualification, which is a part of the national qualification system, of course. So the system was set up so that TPQI worked with local stakeholders to adapt the regional standard and strengthen industry's acceptance of the standard. So it also allowed us to validate skills acquired by training or recognize prior learning and existing skills of a majority of in-company trainers who were occasional trainers, but actually were supervisors and technicians. In addition to that, we developed e-learning materials according to the standard So trainers will have options to participating in GIZ and other organizations training programs, or they could study on their own for further professional development. So next slide, please. The ASEAN in-company trainer standard was developed to help mitigate the lack of skilled worker in the region. Thailand has had the same problem, of course. Factors leading to the shortage of skilled workers include skills mismatch and lack of competent TVET personnel. Like many countries, industry has found that students are not equipped with enough skills ready to carry out the work, and with the disruption of technology and rapidly changing natures of work, school curriculum can't actually catch up with changing and new skills demand. To cope with that, we really need to get industry to join us in developing the workforce. Thailand has long promoted a dual system and collaboration between vocational colleges and companies in developing curriculum and joint training. However, the joint training could be more systematic for full benefits of learners. However, the majority of supervisors and technicians who have worked with teachers and students are not experienced in pedagogy and not familiar with curricular standards. So what are the benefits of the standard itself? The standards standardize training and skills of the in-company trainers, developing their skills in accordance with the in-company training standard makes training delivery more consistent across the country. Having qualified trainers is the quality assurance component of the training programs. Moreover, in-company trainers can help synchronize education standards and work demands. They live and breathe industry, so their skills are current and reflect industry skills demand. Incorporating in-company training into vocational school programs certainly improve practical part of the learning. Last, competent in-company trainers are also crucial for reskilling and upskilling employees, and therefore help companies ease the adoption of new technologies and new business model. So TPQI has a professional qualification framework presenting of 8 levels. TPQI then expanded the 4 modules of ASEAN in-company trainer standard into 3 levels professional qualification, thereby making it flexible for in-company trainers with different skills level and different roles. So you can see here on the picture that after Kun Siriporn mentioned about the module, so we transfer that into professional qualification level. So next slide, please. Other organizations, including the Department of Skill Development, this is our level 5, sorry, that we actually transfer the module from ASEAN in-company trainer to the level 5. So other organizations, including the Department of Skill Development under the Ministry of Labor and the Office of Vocational Education Commission under the Ministry of Education, also aligned their training programs of trainers to the ASEAN standard. The Department of Skill Development have their own trainers, and the Office of Vocational Education Commission is responsible for promoting dual system and work with in-company trainers. So this reflected endorsement and alignment to the regional standard by key players. This also highlights awareness of the importance of in-company trainer development, as well as various supports and resources available. There are also other organizations contributing to the in-company trainer development, so resources can be pulled together, and it truly is a multi-stakeholders agenda. Next slide, please. So this slide summarizes then what TPQI has done regarding in the in-company trainer standard. So back into 2016, TPQI had a chance to participate in the development of ASEAN in-company trainer standard. And then TPQI standard development process ensure participation from companies and have in-company trainers, teacher, and in-company trainer themselves, universities that produce TVET trainers, relevant authorities, and GIZ, the owner of the regional standard. Then the standard went through public hearing. This to ensure that the buy-in process and kept stakeholders informed. So one of the most important thing for us is the stakeholders' engagement and involvement in the long process we do. So finally, TPQI has worked with GIZ to align similar standards and integrated them into the national system. Further, there are more other trainer standards in Thailand, including the original ASEAN in-company trainer standard, German Thai Chamber of Commerce, ADA, the training of the trainers standard, and universities Meister standard. Standards mapping will allow all parties to recognize equivalent competency acquired by different means, link pathways, and encourage learners to choose what fits their situation and learning needs. So what's about the implementation? The slide summarizes the partners we have worked with in each step. Thanks to the support from GIZ, the Federation of Thai Industries, Thai German Institute, King Mongkut University of Technology North Bangkok, and many companies. The in-company trainer standard has really yielded benefits from that. Firstly, it leads to career advancement to extra compensation for trainers. In several cases, certified trainers are paid extra, indicating an increased value for companies and an incentive to gain certification for employees. Additionally, trainers gain options in terms of career development and career choice. Secondly, in-company trainer can acquire their skill from German Thai Chamber of Commerce, GIZ, or the university's training programs, but their skills are recognized as equivalent. Thirdly, TPQI has promoted professional development and lifelong learning of in-company trainer. In addition to our own online learning, we worked with the Royal Thai Embassy in Berlin and Iratech, the German training provider, to further develop certified in-company trainers. For example, if they were level 3 with training, they could be ready for higher levels. So the response from the companies are, you can see here, the number of in-company trainers receiving professional qualification had steadily increased since the initiative began. A wide range of people applied for assessment ranging from managers, department heads, engineers, supervisors, trainers, team leaders, to our human resources personnel, and so on. This highlights the fact that we have incorporated these occasional trainers into the system and supported their identity as trainers. The trainers who passed assessment will receive professional qualifications, so they would hold in-company trainer qualifications in addition to ones of their technical fields as well. So we also got a 74% pass rate, indicating that the standard is not too difficult and truly reflect what real-world in-company trainers do. So to summarize TPQI's initiative, I would like to reiterate that the in-company trainer standard creates a shared understanding of in-company trainer development and supports collaboration between relevant parties, provides a benchmark of measuring professional effectiveness and improved quality assurance, which is very important, improves the professional status of trainers, integrate the international standard into the Thai qualification system effectively, leads to benefit for trainers, and last, makes the company accompanying resources accessible to the public. So what's about impact then? The initiative also has long-term and policy impacts. Initiative supports the national agenda to reform TVET and contributes to the mobility of skill in the master plan on ASEAN connectivity 2025. In-company trainer development in terms of both quantity and quality could certainly contribute to an increase of skilled workers. In-company trainers are instrumental in equipping employees with new skills, helping companies stay competitive in time of rapid changes, and helping employees remain a valuable, productive asset to companies, and by supporting quality standards in the delivery of training, the initiative contributes to a long-term quality of training, ensuring a maximum return on training investment. So the next slide, please. The enabling factors for these positive outcomes and impacts include a strong focus on private sector engagement and stakeholder-driven approach to regional standard adaptation to ensure trust and support for the standard, a link with policymakers to make in-company trainer development a broader agenda, a system to validate informal and non-formal learning of in-company trainers, because they are an important target group that cannot be excluded. Flexibility in the standard that accommodate different roles in company trainers, take on a different size companies, and government's financial support for certification and trainers to reduce burden of companies sending trainers for assessment. So what are the challenges then? When evaluating our initiative, it is next slide, please. Inevitable, it's a bit delayed, okay, that we find both success and challenges. So firstly, if we would like in-company trainer to develop themselves, there needs to be incentive for them to do so. There are companies offering extra compensation or other benefits like I mentioned previously, but it would certainly help a great deal if more companies do so. Secondly, trainers themselves need to be aware that their roles are not limited to on-the-job training, but they need to manage the training as a whole. Thirdly, we still need companies to take more responsibilities for training the workforce. Industry has usually relied on education system to produce workers, but we would like to encourage them to invest in workforce development for their own future benefits. They could definitely help with in-company training and in-company trainer development. Finally, a country like Thailand has a large number of SMEs, and these small companies cannot afford to train their trainers or cannot release their trainers for further learning and professional development. TPQI's e-learning could be one way. It can help, but we still need to think of other ways we can support the SME trainers as well. So my last slide now will be about the transferability. Before I finish my presentation, I would like to invite you to think of approaches that would work with your systems. While TPQI's methods of standard development and assessment might differ from your methods, I would like to emphasize the stakeholders' driven approach to ensure commitment and collaboration to promote and make use of the standards. I also would like to draw your attention to international best practices so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and your standard could lead to portability of skills. Moreover, I would like to highlight that user-friendly standards should not be rigid. It should be flexible, accommodating different needs. Finally, I would like to invite you to think about what policies in your countries can support in-company trainer development. In Thailand, there are career advancement, extra compensation offered by companies for qualified trainers, tax incentive for companies offering training by qualified trainers, opportunities for further training of in-company trainers by several institutions, and etc. There might be other policy in your countries that you could build on. So that concludes my presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions or discuss with you afterward. But for now, I would like to give the floor back to Ms. Siriporn, who will tell you in detail about the similar standards in Thailand and how parties work together to align the standard. So I hand over to you, Kun Siriporn.
Thank you so much, Kun Julada. So while waiting for the presentation, so as you can see that so far we have guided you through how ASEAN in-company trainer standard has been developed and how TPQI did the benchmarking process and also the enforcement of the national standard of TPQI in Thailand. So realizing the importance of in-company training in Thailand, so one lead agency which is responsible for in-company training is the Department of Skill Development under the Ministry of Labor, which is actually, they are regulated by law for in-company training, and it is spelled out for 30 hours training. And so for the ASEAN standard, it's actually 80 hours of training course recommended. So DSD, Department of Skill Development, see that the ASEAN in-company trainer standard will also be considered as an advanced option for the in-company training offered in Thailand. So, and now I would like to talk about the training and highlight on how the Thai stakeholders, such as King Mongkut University of Technology, North Bangkok, would like to upgrade and use the ASEAN standard, national standard of TPQI to upgrade the technician or the in-company training from the company. So we have also one key stakeholder additional is the German-Thai Chamber of Commerce here. So why we do the mapping of the existing standard in Thailand is that the King Mongkut University of Technology, North Bangkok, who actually responsible for the training, has initiated the Thai-German highly skilled technical trainer development program, which fulfills the ASEAN in-company standard already, and also the TPQI National In-Company Trainer Standard. And KMU TNB aims to follow the curricula of the Meister program and benchmark with the ADA International Standard. This is why the German-Thai Chamber of Commerce, or the IHK, is coming in as the key player here in the development of the Meister program. So as you can see, the stakeholder, KMU TNB offers the highly skilled training program for different professional skills. We started firstly with the mechatronic. Can you go to the last slide, please? And then Record Tibet offer the ASEAN standard, TPQI offer the national standard, and also the assessment for in-company trainer, benchmark with the ASEAN standard, and then the IHK offer training and certification according to the ADA International Standard and also the Meister program. So we did the comparative analysis between ASEAN standard and also the ADA International Standard. So we found out that it is compatible. Both standards have 4 modules or 4 steps. And we share the similarities in the modules and step 1, 2, and 3 with minor differences. But the difference are in the modules or step 4, while the ADA International Standard prepares trainers mostly for the ADA examination. But the ASEAN In-Company Trainer Standard prepares trainer to evaluate students, employees, apprentices, and also the training. Next slide, please. So from the finding or in this presentation, next slide, please. Maybe there's some delay. So I would like to say that the KMU TNB highly skilled program, they have divided into 4 parts. The first part is about the in-company trainer and their facilitation skill. The second one will be about the Industry 4.0. The third one is about human resource management, and the fourth one is technological training. To compare or follow the Meister program curriculum, so for Meister program, they have introduction of the learning and working methodologies. They have part 1, which is actually the cross-disciplinary basic qualifications, and also part B is action-specific qualifications. So when we map together, so the part 1 is actually aligned already with the ASEAN and national standard, and KMU TNB need to follow the Meister program. And this one is actually suited to the Industrial Meister category of German Meister, which require the ADA certificate to be eligible for the German Meister certificate. So in conclusion, the findings, we found out that both ADA standard and ASEAN standard are compatible. The part 2, KMU TNB or university, need to do multiple adjustments to make it compatible with the German Meister program part A. And for the next step that we need to do is about the further detailed analysis to make the 2 standards as one training curriculum. We need to do the comparative analysis on the specific job analysis and also the master program. So we need also to do the identification of potential requirement to have the other international standard benchmark or use it for TPQI professional qualification framework, and also to explore the feasibility of the co-certification of other certification and also the in-company training of TPQI. So this will be my last presentation. In my presentation, I also post the useful links for all of the participants that you can also have a look at that. So, so next, I would like to invite Mr. Sholowit Supodom, the Director of Group of Knowledge Management Talent Development, Broadberry, to share his involvement and experiences as user of the standards and training. Mr. Sholowit, are you ready? The floor is yours.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Khun Siriporn. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you to the executive of GIC and also the executive from many countries, for many organizations. Even I try to explain that even I have not a good English, but I try to explain something. And if our purpose in this meeting is how to improve the learning for the company staff, if we have the same purpose, I think you can understand my idea and know what we have done in BILT Brewery. Yes. May I introduce my company for a while, because the Sing Corporation Company Limited, or we have the big name is BILT Brewery Group. We found by Phaya Philom Phakdi, the center guy that sit down. Yeah, okay, he found our company in 1933. His son on the right side of us. Yeah, he is the first brewmaster in Thailand. Okay, so with over 88 years in the business of world-class beverage, whether beers, drinking water, or soda water, we stay strong and remain the #1 of the Thailand market. So we have grown in leaps and bounds over the years because of our commitment to teamwork. To us, I have to say that our people are everything. In BILT, next slide, please. The next slide, please. Okay, we have the word Singway in BILT. It means that we start with our courage. We mean that for the people in BILT, we have to think outside the box, be proactive, and never stop learning. This is very, very important for us. But we stay as a family. We mean that BILT Brewery Group is a family business. Phaya Philom Phakdi and his family still be a big partner of this company. But we care for everybody, for the family. The executive try to let them to be a good executive or a good reader, but we support one another like professional. Okay, and for the quality, we mean about the products and also the service. So we strive to the less every day. I mean that the best is the first, not in our vocabulary, because we strive to the less to the bar every day. So, excuse me before this slide. And finally, we have another DNA is our happiness. The happiness means that everybody that work here, we try to let them. No, please back the slide, please. Back the slide, please. Okay. We mean that everybody to work here, we want them to happy or joy to be here. That means we have to make them raise their standard of work, make them in the next level that everybody will be here, okay? But as many big company, next slide please. as a many big company, we also have a big problem too. We fall in many crises, such as a Tom Yam Goong crisis, such as a hamburger crisis, even the COVID-19 now. And we also have a big competition with a big company in the Thai market. So one thing that we have to do with our teamwork is try to raise up the standard of working to be a professional with the international standard. I will talk about the starting of this project. 6 years ago, our CEO at that time, Khun Santi Philompakdi, the grandson of Phayat Philompakdi, sent me the message about the German-Thai Chamber of Commerce about this project, the vocational. And I understand because we talk about this problem more than 1 or 2 years, because we have a problem at that time that our staff in the production line cannot transfer their knowledge and their skill to the next level. So it's okay if everything is static and no competition, but it's not okay for the future. So we talk about the problem for 2 years at least. And one day at 6 years ago, CEO sent me a message about this project. So this is the starting point. I talked to many people, and it's difficult. I can say it's difficult to start off with, because as Khun Julada said, we have a problem about the in-house trainer. We have a problem in the many problems about the vocational school period in Thailand that not compared, not parallel into the German standard. So I have to make a lot of contribution. Next slide, please. So I have to talk to the HR department. I have to talk to the factory, the production. So, but next slide, please. Next slide, please. I have to talk to many people in BILT group to try to raise up our trainer or our staff to be a higher standard or international standard. First, I talked to Pathum Thani Brewery, the main production of us, and I have to talk to German Thai Chamber, and also to make a Meister course. That is the first step. Finally, I have to talk to the HR department. In BILT group, we separate the HR department from KM, because the HR department will do the infrastructure of the HR, but KM will do the talent development. So that is my job here. But at least I have to talk to them to contribute every part of the BILT group to see in the same vision, to go in the same direction, because it's have the conflict. If the marketing and sales want to make a high number or a high target of sale, but so the production have to do it, but they don't like me to pull off their staff, to train them, pull their staff from the live production to do something with them, make high. So that is a problem. So I have to talk to many people, but it's a good news that finally we can do it. Everybody of the department have to see the same vision. So this is a problem, is that one company want to do it, not only the top down. I can say that, not only the top down command that, hey, we have to do this. I think you have to contribute with the other part of the company and make them see in the same direction and go in the right way together. Okay, so finally we try to build up our team, our staff, and I can say again that our staff so tired of it. It takes a long time. You can imagine about the team, the production guy that, hey, in the morning they go to the factory and they do their work, their job, and at the end of the day they're back home, happy with their family. But in this project, They have to spend more time with the university, with the trainer to make the higher standard. They have to leave their job sometime to do something that they don't know the future of themselves. This is a problem. So I can say the staff so tired. So me, by myself and my team, the KM team, have to persuade them, have to cheer up them to still be in this project, For many years, we do like that. I have to talk to the MD of the Pathum Thani Brewery to be patient, to understand what we are doing. And finally, they graduate from this project, and they can do it well and better. I can say that there is a better trainer. They have an idea to do something more. In the old day, the trainer in the company, hey, if I be a trainer in the old day, I will say, hey, look at me, do like me. Look at me, do like me. If this is an old school trainer, which would not be like that. But now it's changed. A little bit changed in a year, a little bit changed in a year. So now today I can say we changed. The 4 students, our 4 staff that can in this program is a better guy. And also the rest of the worker in the Pathum Thani factory, see something changed in these 4 guys and they try to change. So it means that if you can change a little bit change, if you can make a little bit change, you can change the bigger. Okay, the next slide, please. So the next slide, please. So I think if I said the keyword to make it successful, you use a training, coaching, and mentoring technique. That is good. Upskill and reskill. That I think Kunjurada said, take about it a lot. Okay, and the opportunity for sharing and applying. That's mean in Bunlot, after this project run for 2 years or 3 years, I can persuade many in the member of the board to come here, and that means everybody is cheered up. Okay, the MD of the factory, it's very good project. Okay, and finally we try to change the career path in the company too. That means the vocational student that graduate from the vocational school in Thailand. You know that the salary of the university man and the vocational school is very different. But in the North, now we change it. If you are a good worker, even you graduate from the vocational school, you have a chance to have a salary as a university guy. My team in KM team, one of my team is graduate from the vocational school. I give the salary to him as a university guy if they have a capacity to get it. Okay, so we try to change it. And in the old day at Bunlot, I think so maybe 3 or 5 guys that come from the vocational school in the old day. Now today they can be in the executive level. Okay, so this is very deep, very important. If you want to let this project go well in your company, you have to see something like this, because the staff want to know his future. Where will I be? They want to be a executive. Every people in the company want to be a executive level. Can you find a career path for them to be like that? To be like a MD, to be like it may be not MD, but you have to create a path for them too. Okay. And the next slide is this is I proudly to present about this, because this is a benefit that Bunlot Group get from this project, because I get the smart people, and we are going to make them have more recognition. I mean that in Bunlot, I'm going to do this project in another factory in Khon Kaen and in Wang Noi. Yeah, we have 8 factories in Thailand, and we have spread it out by use these 4 guys to be like a senior or something that will make them more recognition and make them have more career path, not only in the production guideline, in the production line staff in the old days. Okay, and the next slide is their job. In the production line, this is their job after they finish this from this project. You imagine about the beer cake, in this picture, in this slide, you can see at your right side, the aluminum cake. It is for beer. In the production line, the beer cake will go to the restaurant or go to the pub, and after that they will be back. In the old day, there is some damage, such as the leak. When they package it in the beer in it, there is some leak that make a problem. The beer will have a shorter shelf life, but these 4 guys can make a sensor and make the separation machine to keep the damaged beer cake out. So we save the money to buy the new machine from the international, and they can do it in our factory. I think this is very simply talk. Not to talk a lot. You can see it by the picture from the video. Okay, please, next slide, please. Okay, this right. Okay. And you open the video. Yeah. This is a cake beer when they're back from the restaurant from all over the country, and it's in the line to be cleaned and to be recycled to use it. And we don't know which one is leak, which one is damaged at the lid of the beer cake, but they can find but they make the sensor to separate the bad one out. So that means we can save the money, as I told you. The sensor is at you can see the small way from the line. They will kick it out at that point. Okay, that is okay. Thank you. For the next slide, please. I don't want to disturb your time. Everybody comes. Okay, that is I try to explain about that we have done, and I can say that it is a good project, and I'm going to spread it out to another factory because I know it can make our people better. That is very important. If you want to have to be in a good way to compete with the other factory, so you have to start from the people inside, from the staff inside, and this is the good way, one of the good way to make them better. I promise. Thank you. Okay.
Hello. Thank you very much.
Cut.
So first of all, thank you very much to all our speakers, Siripom Parvikam, Jalada Mejul, and Tulavat Sukudum, and Mint for presenting the Mentimeter. It is my pleasure now to come to the second part of our learning lab. This is the question and answer section, and we have reserved plenty of time for this, so more than 30 minutes. Before I give some more information, I would like to ask you, Mr. Tulavat Sukudum, please could you wear a headset? We had some slight problems with your audio, so if you wear a headset, it would be better.
Okay, sorry.
So, yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Now for our participants, please raise hands and I will read the question. Let me apologize in advance if I cannot pronounce all the names correctly. Raise your question anyway. Raise hands and I will read the questions. I would also like to encourage you to share your experience. If any of you from the audience, if you already have the experience with this standard or with a similar standard, go ahead, please, and share this experience with us. So since there's no raised hand at the moment, I will start with a question that has been put into the chat before, and it is from it's from Abbas Karimi. Sorry, it's from Kelat. The question, I mean, is from Kelat, and he is referring to the evaluation method. His question is, have the previously used tools for evaluation be modified through the adaptation of the standard? This question was put when Siripon Parikam had her presentation. So maybe it's a question for you, Siripon.
So about the assessment method for the ASEAN standard, right?
Maybe Kelat can clarify this because it was him who put this question. I'm reproducing it from the chat.
Okay, maybe I can explain about this, because for the ASEAN regional standards, when we have the training, you have to accept that for the region, we don't have the regional body to, to be the certification body for any regional standards. So therefore, for us, we encourage our stakeholders, partner, to do the benchmarking at the national level, like TPQI did, because at your country, you know best who can, drive the standard forward, and who or which stakeholder in your country will be the one who can certify the assessment, right? So I think Ms. Julada has already incorporated the assessment into that, because once the standard has been set up, it will be two dimensions. First is about the assessment of the existing in-company trainers in the country, and the other one will be about the training. So Ms. Julada already mentioned about how once the national standard has been set up, how TPQI can assess the existing workers. And I also have explained, or Khun Cholowit also explained, as the user of the standard and also the training. So the training institution in Thailand will come up with the training office on how they can upgrade the in-company trainer to be, like, for example, from technician to be in-company trainer, from in-company trainer to receive the master program. So this kind of thing, so in the country, you need also to think about, I think Julada has also mentioned about the transferability, to think about which stakeholder, which organization in your country is responsible for the standard adaptation, and also issue it as the national law in your country. So this will be my answer. Yes, Khun Cholowit.
Okay, excuse me. I may add on you, because when we use this, I follow the standard, but I modify something that suitable for our staff. That means I know these four guys. Our four guys is very shy. So I give something or some class about the presentation. I give some class about the psychology to let them know something more than the standard or the curriculum that you have. And sometimes I told you that I have one mentor for them. They can have an advisor. So I give them a mentor. Hey, this guy will be your mentor. So when they have something that they can understand and they cannot, and the Asian guy don't want to ask to the professor, they can ask this guy. So that I modify something to make the atmosphere and environment, that to be sure that they can reach the target. That's been our target for the company target too. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the clarification. There is I'm reading a question now. If national frameworks already existed, why was it necessary to align them to the ASEAN in-company trainer standard? So any of you could, or Julada, Mechul, or Siripon?
You can ask because you are the user.
Actually, the framework, in Thailand, we have National Qualification Framework, which is under the responsibility of Ministry of Education. However, the framework is still framework. What we do is how we can put the standard aligned to that particular one framework. For example, the in-company trainer, which actually represents for 3 levels, from level 3, 4, 5. So we could actually design our qualification or the level of knowledge, skills, and whatever aptitude you can call to the person, and can see the career path of the person through the framework. But well, the NQF, it depends on the country actually. Thailand is very special one because our NQF existed since a long time, but they just implemented it recently. But they are the older framework. Thailand, we have a lot of sub-frameworks in higher education, vocational education, and other frameworks as well. So it's quite a complex system here. But however, the NQF one is still the main one right now. So whatever we do, we need to align our other frameworks to the national one. So,
Thank you very much.
May I add in, it's not a must to align with the ASEAN standard, right? It's not a must. So you need to think about what are actually available in your country. So for example, I have mentioned about the 30 hours in-company training by law, and it is enforced by Department of Skill Development. So now we are coming up with the ASEAN standard with 80 hours. So we have to talk to the stakeholders whether it is needed. So the benchmarking process is needed here. What is actually missing? You can look at your own standard and whether it is right now compatible with the changing world of work, whether it is compatible in your country. So it's no need to use the ASEAN standard, but for the benchmarking process, it means that you need to look at the ASEAN standard, whether it is in line, whether it is, there are something that you can add in. So for us, for the ASEAN standard right now, we will have the training, additional training, and we will cooperate with the BIBB because we have already talked about additional digital competencies for in-company training. So this kind of thing, you need to move a bit because the world moves. So you cannot say this is the standard. So we can change the standard if the world change. So this kind of thing you need also to consider. It's no need to benchmark, but if you benchmark, there is the process of the benchmarking by TPQI, or you can talk to the stakeholder whether it's needed. So sometimes by law, you cannot change that much, but the competencies of the people, we need to change. And that's why we are coming up with this kind of benchmarking process. So in Thailand and also in the Philippines on the training regulations by law. Yeah, this is
okay.
From my point of view.
Thank you very much, Siripon and Julada, for these explanations. There is a hand raised from Abbas Karimi from Iran. Please, Abbas Karimi, go ahead.
Voice is okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a great presentation by a team. As you know, recently the level of the service enterprises, and I mean the many demand from the labor market is in the service, issues. Yes. Many examples that you mentioned in your presentation, it was the manufacturing, companies and enterprises. My question is that this in-company, trainers standards is, suitable for both, manufacturing and service, enterprises to be, or you have any good, example and any good, best practice in the field of services as well, or no? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question, Mr. Abbas Karimi. Who would like to answer to this from the speakers?
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Cholavi Tsukudam?
Yeah. Okay. Some signal, the noise is, the signal is not good.
Okay.
So please repeat the question again.
Yes.
Please.
Yes, that's what I wanted to ask to Abbas Karimi as well. Please, could you repeat your question?
Again,
okay. I said recently, there is, the service enterprises is increasingly grow in the labor force, market. So your best practice that you talk about, it was in a manufacturing, and many examples you mentioned, it was in a manufacturing, issues.
Yes.
And my question is, in company training, trainer standards is, suitable as well for service issues, or no? Only it can be to the, manufacturing. If maybe you have any, experience in the field as well. Thank you.
Okay. In this forum, in this meeting, we are talking about only the manufacturing, but in fact, for BILT Group, we try to raise up the standard of working in every area, such as the people that work in the marketing area or the sales. We have the sales academy in-house company to raise their service standard. Okay, but one thing I try to explain is we have a key success factor about this, because I try to use the people inside. In sales department, we have many good sales. They can sell the slow move products a lot, but for the new technology, they are not a good staff because they cannot make a good report. They cannot analyze the big data. That's the duty of the newcomer of the company. But the old sales is a good guy. He can sell a lot in the old day. So I try to change them to be the good trainer. They have a good idea to be a negotiator with the small restaurant, with the agent. Okay, so this is an example that we do in every department. For the marketing team, we try to have a good analysis thinking. So that is another way. We also do with our stakeholders, such as our agent. If agent can do well, that means the company can sell a lot of beverage. That means in Phuket, about Phuket, the good place in Thailand, the very nice beach in Thailand. The Phuket have a lot of problems with COVID-19. So our agent cannot work and cannot sell well. So they send me to be his advisor, to be a good coach with them, with the owner of the agent. And the sales team have to go to conduct something with his sales team. We try to build something from inside out, because I know that there is a lot of pressure from the knowledge from our guy. If our guy have some gap, we push them the training, we put them the coaching, we put them information, we put them many things as they want to close that gap. And we suppose to take the wisdom from them.
Okay,
that means
please, Mr. Sukadam, could you come to an end? There are more hands raised. Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry.
Is that fine?
That's my slide.
So I hope, Mr. Abbas Karimi, that is your question is so far answered.
Yes, I am.
And
sorry.
it's okay. Thank you very much. No, thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
I would like to ask Mrs. Sarah Elton Rogers now. She has her interest. Please, Sarah, John.
Yes, very interesting presentations. And my question is to Julada and to the company. Julada, you referred in your presentation to the importance of having enabling policy frameworks in place, and you made a specific mention of tax incentives. And I was curious to know whether this example has taken place within such a framework as this. Have there been incentives for companies to be involved? Thank you.
Yes, actually, the government offer actually the incentive once to the companies where they, make a development plan for the in-company trainer. Actually, the Ministry of Labor is the one who hold these regulations. And then they encourage the companies and enterprises to have a training for the in-company trainer. And they can actually have the tax exemption for the companies. So it's quite a lot. It's a if my memory is
200%.
200%. Yes, 200% of the training cost. So they can get them back. So it's quite, encouraging for the companies. And this is one of the tools for them to get use of this incentive to offer more training. And that could benefit to, the vocational colleges as well, and even for the in-house training.
Right. So the Office of Vocational Education Commission also make use of this and collaborate with the Department of Skill Development in order that all the company involved in the dual system, in the dual in-company training, dual education, they can make use of this kind of 200% tax incentives. And it is quite, well perceived by the companies, so that they can have the 30 hours of the training. And our master trainer in OVEC and also in the company can also make use of that and offer the training, also more training to in-company trainers.
So thank you very much for clarifying. There are more hand raised, and I would like to pass on to the next question, if this is okay. I'm asking Deb Carr to raise her question, please.
Thank you. I'm asking my question from Australia. Julada, I'm currently doing a study with the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning, and we're studying the utility of RPL for migrants, and we're particularly focused on Thailand. And we're very aware of the wonderful NQF, inclusive of occupational standards. It is operating well and efficiently, and it's great to see. So theoretically, I'm a person coming to Thailand. I've been trained with the ASEAN, in one of the ASEAN countries. I've been trained with the regional standards to be a in-company trainer. Can I then be assessed by TPQI? Can I then be assessed by TPQI and receive a professional qualification? And I guess that would help skills mobility in the region, as well as perhaps aiding Thailand's skill shortage.
Okay, Ms. Carr, TPQI is the government agency. We accredit assessment centers through Thailand. It depends on the expertise of the assessment center throughout Thailand. So after we have accredited assessment centers, the assessment center will run the assessment, the competency assessment by their own. And then once they got the result, if the candidate passed, failed or failed to the assessment, they will report back to TPQI. For the persons or the learners or candidates who passed, TPQI is the only one in the country who can issue the professional qualification. So we are the responsible organization to do that. So it's quite different from Australia, I think.
Yes, very. Am I able to, if I was from one of the other countries though? If I was from Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, would I, and I have been trained in Myanmar or Vietnam, and I've been trained to the regional standards, could I then come to Thailand and be assessed under, and I've been working under those, using those standards?
Actually, we are working on that. We are not, actually our regulation is not limited only for Thai people, but you know, the Thai come first. But however, we are working with IOM International Organization, for example, for the Myanmar and Laos, for some profession or occupations for them. So we help them to get assessment, but only if they are working already in Thailand. But we cannot offer the service, you know, to the country right now. No, not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Julada, and thank you very much, Deb, for asking this question. I would like to pass on to Dominic Oboto. There was a hand raised by Dominic Oboto. Would you like to raise your question, Dominic Oboto?
Yes, thank you, Madam, and thank you to the presenters for the wonderful presentation. I think we feel enlightened. However, majority of my questions have been answered, but I could still pose some question. I'm wondering how this approach of in-company training takes place. Is it taking place in the framework of dual training, or it can take place outside that kind of framework? And I'm also wondering how the kind of collaboration that TVET institutions should have with the companies under that kind of in-company training. Do any collaborations between TVET institutions exist? That kind of arrangement or approach? Thank you.
Thank you for asking this question. To whom do you address this question? Can you specify, please?
So maybe Kun Siriporn, you can ask this, and
I can answer the question. Yes, the in-company training is actually not limited only to dual system. It can be, you know, used when you would like to train, as I have mentioned, the role of the in-company trainer, that they can also train their own people, train their own colleagues in the company. They can be the coach, they can be the mentor, right? And if you ask about the dual system, it will be another thing. No, so the in-company training you can use if you would like to upgrade one of your colleagues to be the in-company trainer. So it could be, no? So you can train them to be like, you know, to be the trainer, and they can coach other employees in the company. But for the dual system, if you talk about it, so in in Germany, they have the law and regulation. For Thailand, we have also law and regulation because we have received the funding from Germany to have the dual system in place in Thailand. But in other, for the application in other companies, so the vocational schools can talk to the companies which are actually in their own provinces. They can talk, they can have the MOU together, they can have, you know, it depends on how they collaborate together. It will be cases by cases, even though we say that, so we have the steps for the dual system in Thailand, but sometimes the vocational schools and companies, they can also talk together on how they can train the students together. No, so ideally they should have the training plan together in order that, you know, they can split the time when the training should take place in the company and when the students can learn about the theoretical part in the school. So this kind of thing, it will be also a good collaboration where you can start and you can think about in your country on how this could happen. So if you look at the dual system in Germany, this is an ideal thing that we can also think about or use it as an example. Yeah, I hope this answers your question, no, Mr. Abbas?
Yes, Hamasad, madam, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Domenico Boto, for proposing this question. I'm reading a question now that concerns the private sector. What advantages do private companies see in the new standard? Maybe this Cholabit Sukudum, this seems to be a question that you can answer very well.
Okay, I think for the private sector, such as a company like us, I think the competition, the change of the technology, the change of the consumer behavior, it drives us to change ourselves, to make something strong from inside our company. That is very important, because if we cannot compete with the other, so we cannot stand in the business. Okay, so that means why we have to raise up our standard of the worker, of the staff. That is easy to because we have to survive in the competition. Yeah, and nowadays the competition is changed. As you know, the small company, the startup can disrupt you. That means everybody have to alert themselves. We cannot stop. It's never-ending competition. That's why we try to find a new wisdom, try to find a new idea, try to find it. Everything have to be new. Yeah. That is
Thank you. Thank you for this clear response to that. There are 2 more raised hands in the chat. After that, we come to an end of this question and answer session. So I'm passing on to Ahmad Hussein, please. Could you raise your question? Maybe I did not pronounce the name correctly, but so Ahmad Hussein, you raised your hand, and yeah, would be lovely if you put your question, if you raise your question.
Are you, Assalamu alaikum, are you listening to me?
We are hearing you very well.
I'm in Pakistan now, right? Okay. My question is, most of companies not trained to their trainer, but all the focus on training. But trainer training is most important area. Please initiate a trainer training in this continuum era. Most advanced equipment is now in the factory areas, and their trainer don't know about that, and that's why the gap between technology and trainer outcomes is most of I think important area to maintain the trainer training on advanced equipments like sewing machines that is controlled by PLC panels, and other leather products, machines, that is pattern sievers. And there is no fund for trainers in, I think, all countries in this meeting, I know, and funds have for trainees only. Please make I work with GIG most of time, but GIG explores the CBT trainers, but not produce the particular technology trainers. They are only make a trainer how to teach, how to teach trainees, but don't know the technology teaching. Please focus on a particular technology teachings and make a fund as a whole world for trainers also.
Ahmad Hussain, is this, well, I would like to pass this question on to the speakers, but first, Ms. Julada Mejul, is this question clear to you or no? So then,
I think Hussain. He talked about the recommendation to GIZ maybe on more technical training, I think. But I would like to say that so for so GIZ, we are not the donors. We receive the funding from the German government, and it's also depend on the policy of the German government on how they would like to, you know, intervene or do the cooperation, development cooperation in the particular country. So for example, for us, GIZ, so as we are the regional program, we did do the technical training, upgrading the technical part. This one we do, but maybe in Pakistan is not the case. So I'm not quite sure on how we can support it, but maybe you can talk or bring in this kind of requirements into the GIZ in Pakistan, if it is possible, you know, to have a sort of a stakeholder dialogue together with GIZ or maybe the partner institution. This would be my recommendation. But we still have the technical training to upgrade the TVET teacher and also income money trainer.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Siripon, for this response. So I come to the last question now from the participant, Muhammad Muslim. Could you please raise your question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, are you getting me? Ma'am, actually, yes, actually, I'm also belong to Pakistan. Basically, my question is that person who has a training on the institution, after the get completion of the training will be get the OJT, on-job training in a company. Supposed to be there's no opportunities to company to facilitate on that training. So how can you adjust?
What's that? Could you repeat, please?
My question actually that the trainee is get complete all the training or institution. After that, we have to join for the company. The company, there is no facility to on that technology related to the institution. So how can you adjust to facilitate on that training?
So if I repeat, you say that the company does not facilitate the training?
Yes, saying that, yes, of course, there is no available facility to that technologies. So how can you adjust to enhancement of the training?
The announcement of the training, is that correct?
Yes. Yes,
so this one will be the training, which is actually should be conducted by the vocational school and the companies, right?
Yes.
Okay. And before you start this kind of cooperation on, did you also look at the company whether they can, you know, give this kind of training beforehand? If not, maybe the vocational school need to do it, because I understand that each company will have their own specific technology, which they cannot transfer yet to the students because, you know, somehow the technology is quite, you know, unique for them. It's the selling point for each company. So maybe you need also to, you know, before send in the students, you talk to the company first, which kind of subjects or which kind of training they can deliver. If not, the vocational school need to do it, or you can find out another training centers to deliver this kind of trainings to the students. But you cannot force them to teach your student on that particular technology, I think.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, most of the issues we can see that person who has to get the particular training areas, they can go to the industry where they're not supposed to be the same as per technology training. So that's why student will be confused all that in all the enhancement or the the actually in growth for the effect of the growth in future.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, thank you very much for this. There is still one raised hand, but we are already, we moved on, so we are running out of time now. This is, okay, it is Sulaiman Mohammed Yusuf. If you have a clear question, can you put a short and clear question, then raise it, and then after that we unfortunately have to close the session. So Sulaiman Mohammed Yusuf, this will be the last question.
Can you
hear? There seems to be an audio problem.
Hello?
We cannot hear you.
Hello?
Yes, now. Yes, we can hear you.
Hello? Yeah, good day all. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Raise your
question,
thank you. Please.
Yeah, part of the question has been asked, but I want to confirm, beside tax incentives being given to the industry partners, what are the other motivational factors that will encourage them to come into in-company training? Thank you.
Very good, very good. Thanks for raising this. Who of the speakers would like to answer to this?
So I think maybe Kun Cholawit can do.
Mm-hmm.
He asked, apart from the tax incentives, so what kind of benefits do you see from the in-company training?
Yeah, if there is that tax is good, because in Thailand we also have this one too. I think I don't sure why you ask this one, because it's good that if there is a tax for the company to in this project, but if there is no rule or no regulation in your country, I don't know how to do. I cannot. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think the question was what other benefits, incentives,
what other benefits?
What other incentives were.
Okay, the other benefit is I think in my experience, the other benefit except tax is about you can make the staff do the job productivity and efficiency more. Yeah, that is very good for your company. So in fact, for BILT Group, we don't mind about the tax or that regulation, but we want our staff to do better. That it make more productivity. That is very, very important.
It's okay. Thank you very much. Sulaiman Mohammed Yusuf, I hope this answer was helpful for your question. Great. So then I'm closing this session now. I'll thank you to all of you, to all the participants who were raising hands and raising questions. This is very helpful. And it is the purpose of the Learning Lab that participants ask questions. So very good if you made use of this. I pass over to Ms. Julada Meshul now for some final words. After that, Mrs. Vera Hark from the BILT team, she will close the Learning Lab. And she has also hints for further events. So please stay with us.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. Okay, for the final talk, I would like to address this to all distinguished experts participating in this learning lab and my Thai colleagues. First and foremost, TPQI is very proud to be part of the first learning lab today, and very grateful for your collective collaboration and participation. So I am encouraged by the number and diversity of participants, which remind us of how timely and important this topic is for all of us, how we face similar issues and problems, and how we can learn from each other. So I also would like to express my sincere appreciation to the BILT and UNESCO-UNEVOC team for running a smooth event today and offering a much needed space for exchange of experiences, peer learning, and sharing of lessons learned, as well as for identifying gaps. So finally, my special thanks are, of course, reserved for Ms. Siriporn from GIZ and Mr. Shonlavit from Bunrod Brewery for their valuable contributions to the Learning Lab and their dedication for in-company trainer development. So thank you for you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julada, Siriporn, and Chulavit. This has been an intense and very rewarding learning experience. Thank you for your inspiring presentations and insights into your work. From a BILT perspective, it's good to see how dynamic this learning lab has been. I would like to thank all participants for their interest and your very good questions. Thank you also to our Q&A moderator, Barbara, for facilitating the chat so smoothly. Now let me draw your attention to a presentation delivered by Mr. Marlon Minya at a BILT conference in December of the past year. There he spoke about the creation of the ASEAN in-company trainer standards on the ASEAN level, so the basis of the Thai standards we have learned about today, and Siriporn has also spoken about them. You might be interested to rewatch his presentation, so my colleague Barbara is putting the link to the recording in the chat. As announced in the beginning of this session, recording of today's Learning Lab will be made available for you on the BILT website soon, so don't hesitate to check that out. Also, please take a few minutes to let us know what you thought about today's event. We have prepared a short survey for this purpose that you will find in the chat now. Your feedback is most valuable for us and will help us adapt our activities even more to your expectations. So if you could kindly take a few minutes to fill out this questionnaire, that would be very helpful for us. And last but not least, I would like to invite you all to participate in the upcoming BILT Learning Forum, which will take place from 7th to 9th December 2021. The conference will bring Europe, Africa, and Asia together, and during the event, we will learn about the BILT publication on new qualifications and competencies. We will put a special focus on digital media for TVET. There will also be a marketplace with further innovation and learning practices. And finally, we will look at research projects on the future of TVET. So there will be plenty of content prepared for you, and you're very welcome to join. As you have joined today's session, you will automatically receive an invitation to the BILT Learning Forum in December. We very much hope to see you back there. And for the moment, let me wish you a lovely time and thank you for participating in today's Learning Lab. Thank you and goodbye, everyone.